It's hard to imagine Smallville Clark being a Lantern at one point. Yep, Smallville Comics continued the story to where he actually became a Green Lantern. It's not like he needs it because he's already strong on his own, but that's crazy how comic lore added to his mythos. The live-action Superman that can effortlessly destroy planets, everybody. Are y'all ready? Let's go. Superman is so popular, it's understandable that we would see the living embodiment of hope in multiple iterations of live action. The show Smallville is one of them. It's apparently him during his younger days before becoming full-blown Superman, learning how to manage his different powers, and also making evolutions throughout the series. Even during this process, meeting his older prime Superman self when he's full-blown Superman. And at the very end of the series, becoming actual full-blown Superman, even getting comics afterwards. Continues the adventures, being the full-blown Superman. Yeah, so without wasting much time, he's went through a fair share of evolutions as he gets older, as time goes by, throughout his different adventures during Smallville before becoming the actual Superman. So throughout these seasons, one can say he does get stronger. He made such an epic impact that throughout the years, there would be whispers about his heroic deeds, becoming the nickname Blur that nobody can see because he saves people too fast for the eye can see or to be captured. You can see the different stages of his evolution with the different outfits, if that makes sense. I want to get one thing out of the air real quick though. It's one of them situations that it's a TV show. There's going to be moments that really don't make sense when it comes to him struggling lifting certain things or struggling with certain beings. One simple explanation could be is that he's simply just getting stronger throughout the seasons, because you might see him struggle lifting something over here, but then he might lift something heavier here and he won't struggle. You know what I mean? Progress, getting stronger as he ages, getting stronger as time goes by, evolution throughout his series. That's the only real explanation I can say, really. Not to mention, it's just straight up stated that his training...
My training with Jarrell has helped me to manage my powers better.
So yeah, he legit got training, so that can explain why he gets stronger throughout the series. But how strong is he though? He's really known for his ridiculous, insane super strength, but he's very versatile, having a whole bunch of different assortment of powers. Like right here, I know this is the comic book version, but this is the same version. This is still Smallville version. He still has versatile abilities like heat vision. One could say basically zoom in vision, x-ray vision. He eventually learns how to fly and has crazy super speed on top of it. One could say combat speed, to where he can see things moving too fast for the eye to see while everybody else is frozen. Even rain is frozen. This is combat speed, guys. I'm going to get back to this later on in the video, though. Just like his amazing strength, he's bulletproof. His body's extremely resilient to damage. Similar to the comics, he's powered up by the sun to the point where even the sun will help him regenerate faster. He has a super regeneration healing factor as well, by the way, y'all. Oh boy, let's get right into it. Like, if his forearm strength can do something, how strong is his chest strength? You know what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? Can knock out normal humans with a finger flick. I mean, he's strong enough to break out of ice. Like, we see them do casual stuff like crushing locks, crush coal into diamonds. There's actually too many occasions of him bending steel with his grip alone, or thick metal pipes, bending car roofs, metal covers consistently bending. Bus roof literally gets bent. I think you all get the idea that his grip strength and things like that is just crazy. Bending vault doors is partly like his chest and stuff, not just his grip, but yeah, that's crazy. He can make himself his own grip when he's getting sucked somewhere. You can get an idea of his strength even when he was super duper young. When it comes to lifting a lot of weight, as a toddler, he was lifting 500 pounds. Even when he's a little bit older, but still nowhere near his Superman prime days. He's strong enough to break tombstones. The weight of an average pool table weighs 700 plus pounds, even up to 1,000 pounds, and he can effortlessly move pool tables around at super speed. I hope I don't sound like a broken record, but due to the fact that he's Superman, he can move cars, stop them from flying towards him with super strength, catch them out of the air. It's a common thing for superheroes to catch cars or stop them from driving. It's like a common superhero theme or Superman theme to move vehicles. Is anybody really doubting he can move vehicles, or at least a couple tons though? Things that grown behind men can't even budge. He just does it with ease. And when stuff like this falls on him, get the heck off of me. Elevators he can catch. It's pretty obvious. He can move and lift up trees, can casually move the entire Ferris wheel. Things that are actually built for crushing cars, he can overpower such machines. And it's confirmed he can bench press a tractor. It's not like he hasn't lifted these before or shown lifting heavier stuff, so of course that's believable. Seems to be accurate. Lifting a tractor is actually nowhere near his limit. Can actually lift an entire mobile home. Think of it like this. He can physically lift up the place you live over his head. Strong enough to lift helicopters even with one arm. Here you see him pull a helicopter. There was a loaded truck he pushed. You guys know of the Daily Planet building. And you guys know of the big globe at the top of the very building. It's pretty big. If I had to make a random guesstimation or estimation, this globe has to be at least 10 or over, maybe close to 100 tons at least. And we know Smallville Clark can lift such a thing up, even when it has momentum. falling, he still can push it back upwards with strength. Shout out to this YouTuber, Comics vs. the World, that does calculations. He calculated this globe to be around Clark lifting 360 tons. Let's talk about him saving trains. It was falling, and he stopped it on the spot. Stopping trains, it's just a standard Superman daily hobby. As he's full-blown Superman here, you can see him stopping falling space crafts. You can see the size of it. When we're talking about cargo ships he's lifted, you're not officially a Superman if you haven't lifted a plane or saved a plane at least once. One thing I love about this show is that you very rarely ever see him struggle to lift stuff in this show, which I like a lot, because this stuff shouldn't be heavy to Superman due to his godlike strength. So we know he can lift up crazy big stuff like planes and ships and stuff, right? So, I mean, it shouldn't be rocket science. With all this strength I've shown you so far, it's pretty obvious that he can use this super strength in combat to hit you really hard too. I mean, we already know he has muscles, but he can literally move his fists like this, or move his hands at super speed, along with the fact he can sprint really fast. One could say he can technically use his momentum or kinetic energy just from running at you real fast to use against you in combat. Like, imagine for a second, a grown man that's 200 plus pounds running at you with the speed that's fast enough to go from one state to the next in pretty much an instant. Imagine all this impact this would feel like, all that speed and momentum coming into you. He technically doesn't even need super strength to hit you hard, technically. His raw speed alone would be enough to hit you hard. It's crazy to think about that he has all this muscle power on top of him running at you in a straight line and just say kapow right in the middle of you. Boxing out with a being that's hands can move at super fast speeds. He can obviously hit hard enough to destroy a truck by ramming into it with his speed. He can hit hard because his head but alone makes shock waves. He can hit hard enough to hit beings through multiple buildings. I can give you some quick instances on how fast his hands can actually move and his reflexes. His eyes can see things us normal human eyes can't see. This can give you an idea. Fighting speed. Like, his literal hands are faster than bullets. You can see him reacting to stuff like this. Like, his eyes can literally look at the bullet because of his super speed. It's not that he needs to dodge bullets, but he can if he wants to. There was this trap made for Impulse, and if he stopped for even a millisecond, he would get fried. Clark was able to bust in and rescue him pretty fast. It's one thing to have the reflexes to actually catch bullets with your hands, but it's another thing to where a character's getting sniped and Superman's nowhere near the vicinity. You can see the bullet still on its way, and it doesn't look like it got that much further. Look how fast Superman gets here to catch it. That's fighting speed and raw travel speed. Outrunning bullets. All these bullets. He's got fighting speed enough to catch all of it. He's not afraid of speed blitzing people. Look how slow the bullet's moving compared to his speed. Outrunning it. Just to make it easier for y'all to understand, if you have this kind of speed without having the reflexes to know where you're going, you could easily run into a building. But Clark is able to make sharp turns in these crevices without running into buildings. That shows that he has reaction speed similar to his straight line speed. In other words, his travel speed, straight line speed, sprinting speed, or flight speed is equal to his combat speed. He can react to similar speeds coming at him with his eyes. Don't try to snipe. He can literally just swipe bullets away. The cameras can't even register him disappearing a vehicle. Like, this place, they say 425 miles. And Clark runs there in an extremely short amount of time. And he's here. He was on the phone trying to figure out Lana being in trouble here. And the bullet had got fired while he's still on the phone. And while the bullet is mid-flight, he was still able to get there in time before the bullet made it to her. I mean, you can literally see him moving his arms at this crazy speed while everybody else is frozen. Stuff like this could imply faster than the speed of light movement, even in his earlier days, without even counting him being like full-blown Superman. This junk was about to fire down here, like it was literally being fired, and you can see him as a blur, intercepted his energy beam. Like, I want you guys to get a visual on how far Clark be running. Like, he went from Kansas to this place known as this place. Yo. Look how fast Clark did that. These astronomical distances we be seeing him run in an extremely short amount of time. A future version of himself is so fast. There was like this nuclear detonation, he can fly around it fast enough to contain it. Imagine going from Kansas all the way to Egypt when it comes to flight speed. That's what Superman did here when he took off. He gets there in an extremely short amount of time. In the comics, I love this. They kind of really show his speed. You can see him zip across the entirety of the United States at ridiculously stupid super speed. One can say he can at least move faster than lightning at the bare minimum. This is extremely disrespectful, by the way, because when Clark is in super speed mode, lightning looks frozen to his speed. Stuff like this implies that his sprinting speed and reflexes are at least over 200,000 miles per hour, since we can assume he's faster than lightning based on that lightning being frozen. He moves so fast here that light itself flashing was looking slow. This would imply he can sprint faster than the speeds of light and also interpret, or his reflexes can see things at these speeds or faster, since the light itself or the flash was looking slow. You can get an idea of how fast Clark is the beings he has to fight that's ridiculously fast. And Clark's speed can react to these beings. He has the ability to move virtually the speed of light, which kind of matches up with the other feats I've already shown you. I mean, this is him technically not at his full power yet when it comes to this speed of sprinting and stuff of that such, being light speed or near it or even faster than it. Logically speaking, his flight speed should be similar, or one can even argue even faster. Another good way to understand his speed is to compare his raw speed to other Kryptonians when it comes to their flight speed. Like, he's comparable to Supergirl, who literally has the same exact abilities he does. There's no reason to not assume that this version of Superman can't fly at similar speeds like this. And she can fly out of the Earth's atmosphere in seconds and fly interstellar distances. See, here's the thing. She basically flew to Krypton from Earth and flew back within less than 3 years, basically. Like, it's confirmed she came back.
I never found her. You and I are the last survivors of the House of El. I had to come back to the one place in the universe I have family.
She flew from Earth around to the Krypton section of the universe, which is 23 galaxies distance away. That's massively faster than the speed of light, y'all. And I got a question for you. Do you think this version of Martian Manhunter can fly faster than this version of Superman? Because this version of Martian Manhunter can fly from Earth to the sun in an extremely short amount of time. I mean, just from raw speed, if he was to ram at you and run at you at the speed of light, or let's say 99% the speed of light, that would automatically make him strong enough to produce hits, like a nuclear bomb, basically, or enough force to wipe out a city or cities. He can affect all these clouds in the area. Like, bruh, that's a lot of power. I mean, let's be honest. He doesn't need his super speed to hit hard. Like here, he's not using his super speed. His hits moving normal speed is still crazy. He blitzes at this train car and shakes the whole thing. Can use a tree as a baseball bat and hit you with it. He can withstand hits from beings that have similar strength to him, like shaking a whole fortress of solitude with their hits, despite it being ridiculously massive compared to a normal human-sized being. He can do the classic powerhouse thing where they use their strength to make shockwaves by clapping their hands. This is good for omnidirectional type of attacks. This wasn't even his prime yet. He had to fight somebody that absorbed a device that gave him enough power, basically to cause worldwide earthquakes.
The black ship would have sent a pulse around the world, reshaping its crust.
Into what?
My home.
Krypton.
With the power he absorbed from the box, he could wipe out half a continent.
Beings that he have to compete against are stated to have power that can wipe out half a continent and cause earthquakes on a worldwide scale. There's implications that Clark's punches can cause earthquakes on a worldwide scale if he just wanted to go crazy, because there was this time where it was a literal planet about to head to Earth and cause catastrophic destruction. You guessed it. Literally flies towards the whole planet and moves it, flies the entire planet of Apocalypse away. Apocalypse was initially shown to be similar size to planets like Saturn, it appears here. Because even though this is a fictional world, they have similar planets to our world if this is to be taken seriously as the actual size that we believe in real life, apparently. And this is how Saturn looks compared to Earth. It's actually bigger than Earth if we was to take this interpretation of Apocalypse seriously. That would pretty much mean not only can he lift up big planets like this or move them, but he can actually push away planets that are larger than the Earth itself by just simply moving it away with his super strength or just flight speed pushing power. Pushing it away. This would also translate to how hard he can hit, implying he can hit you with force or drill you with pressure that's more pressure than planets bigger than Earth itself. If he can move all this way, I think it's fair to say he can hit with similar force. Comics vs. the World did a calculation that based on the fact that he had to move that planet out of the solar system, that particular YouTuber in particular estimated in order for him to move the planet out of the solar system, the energy he would need would be equivalent to 18,000 times Earth busting power, being way above a planet buster. if we assume he pushed it out of the solar system. He estimated that Apocalypse would weigh septillions of tons, but some interpretations show the size to be a little bit different. Like Apocalypse, like it's smaller than Earth here. This is still impressive, still massively bigger than continents. You can see the size comparison to it. This would at least prove that he can at least literally lift up continents, literally. Even if we ignore the fact that he could possibly be able to lift up Saturn with his strength, or planets the size of Saturn, even if we ignore this feat, you still got to remember the size of the moon compared to the Earth. And Apocalypse, even if you take the smaller interpretation, Apocalypse was still bigger than stuff like the moon. So it's still pretty much proving he can lift quintillions of tons at least, or quadrillions of tons, because he can at least lift the moon as a bare minimum. Considering Apocalypse was clearly bigger than the moon here. As you see here, Apocalypse doesn't look super massive. Maybe it's about the size of Earth. It's really hard interpreting it. But yeah, it's still massive though. It should also be noted that this brought up again during comments talking about how he moved Apocalypse out of orbit. And they say he moved it out of orbit. They talk about how frightening it is there's a man that can do that on a whim, move an entire planet. We know he can lift up the moon's weight. I think it's pretty much confirmed he can move the Earth or lift the weight of the Earth. Because when he moves something out of the way this big, even though it's not quite as big as Earth in this particular scan, he does this, he doesn't seem like he's out of breath. Implying he probably could lift more weight, honestly. Stuff like this pretty much proves he could cause moon destruction with his hits if he could produce this much energy to push something like this away. With all this evidence, it's implied he could cause Earth destruction with how hard he can hit. Not to mention he can fly at faster than the speed of light type speeds, like I showed in this video already. And whatever he can do physically, his durability matches up because his body doesn't break when his body's put under all this pressure of a planet. So it's obvious that his body's durability can withstand whatever he can dish out, or his body would just break into pieces grabbing the planet. What do you think his limits are when it comes to hitting hard? Do you think he can mess up a Jupiter-sized planet? Or is it not enough evidence for stuff like that yet? It's one of them situations we really don't know the limits of them, but I wouldn't doubt him having the power to punch with the force of a small star, a dwarf star maybe, or even a Jupiter-sized planet at least. Because everything he did as the full-blown Superman, it seemed like effortless. He's not afraid to fight beings on his level, like how he threw Hades this hard, yeah. Creating all that mess. Superman has fought some powerful foes, especially when we get into comic book lore. Beings that clash with them make this much impact, appearing to be bigger than some mountain ranges. Also implying he has fighting speed, because when they're fighting, they're creating earthquakes and they're moving too fast to see. I know this is Smallville and this is a different universe than the main continuity, but you know this universe has monitors as well. You remember this guy from the Crisis on Infinite Earths? This being's race is a monitor race. This is the anti-monitor right here. These cosmic type beings, Smallville, Clark, or Superman had to interact with. It's hard to get a real reading on how strong these versions of the monitor are in this universe, in the Smallville continuity, but yeah, he headbutted one here. And when the Justice League was going up against the Omega monitor, yes, the Smallville version of the Justice League, you get to really see him get serious against such a mighty entity. The being even mentions, "I'm from beyond all universes," implying he's kind of on some cosmic being status too, and hits him and creates all of this commotion. I mean, a question for you all, how fast do you think you would hit if you could fly at massively faster than the speed of light speeds and ram into beings at these speeds? Like speeds like this, you don't even need super strength, to be honest. Just headbutting somebody moving like this, galaxy hopping, is insane. We live in the Milky Way galaxy. Imagine flying from this galaxy to this other galaxy in less than a year with that kind of speed. Imagine how hard that hit would feel. I mean, it's pretty obvious he can withstand how much he can hit, because Apocalypse, he not only had to fly towards Apocalypse, but he had to withstand the energy of Apocalypse ramming into him. So he had to withstand this pressure coming at him, going downward. Beings that can match him like Doomsday, we know he can withstand hits. Superman was able to kind of will himself back into existence, saying he won't be rebooted, because there was like some reality warping stuff going on. He can feel himself becoming undone, yet losing his past piece by piece. But after all of this wasn't enough to take him out. He resisted anyway. You will not take his reality away from him type thing. Something that can tear up cities with ease. He resisted something this destructive. In the lore, you can get an idea of what he had to resist. They said there's nothing that can come in contact with this bleed without being destroyed, but yet Superman kind of overcame it. Do you think he can produce the power of a small star? I want to hear what you guys think. But before I get going, everybody, probably one of the mightiest live-action Superman of all time. Respect Smallville Superman, Clark Kent, Tom Welling. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.